I'm Megan Spurline, news editor at The Vidette, the student voice of Illinois State University, and a reporter for WGLT. Welcome to Democracy's Future, a joint project between The Vidette and WGLT News. We hear from the students who will help chart the future of our democracy. On this episode of Democracy's Future, students at ISU want more access to voting on Election Day. The state added Election Day to the list of campus closures at state universities in 2020 and 2022, but not this year. Members of both the Democrat and Republican parties on campus want ISU leaders to close the campus on Election Day, November 5th. President of the College Democrats, Delaney Reynolds, and Braden Gonzalez with ISU College Republicans both say closing school that day would get more students out to vote.
It was on the College Democrat side. We were all together, executive board, and we were like, there have been some talks. We previously had gone on a lobbying day in Springfield a couple weeks ago, and they stated that they weren't sure whether the bill would be passed, ensuring that universities would be mandated to shut down. And so we thought having a bipartisan statement would mean so much more coming from both sides, making sure everybody's voices was heard on that aspect.
Yeah, and so they reached out to us, and we were more than excited to accept because when we win big this coming election, it'll be because everyone voted.
Despite people being busy, on the day of actual voting, there's opportunities for early voting. You can mail in. So there's quite a few opportunities. So why do you still feel that this is necessary?
I was looking at some statistics earlier, and in 2018, there were only 56 students that voted and registered to vote on Election Day, comparatively to 2022 midterm elections, which was about 1,400 students. So I know that there is the opportunity to early vote. However, I think having the day off is it's a right as a human being, and as a college student even more. So our university that expresses how much they care about civic engagement should really be pushing for that.
Have you talked to university administration at all? If so, what have they said?
Oh, well, yeah, we have briefly, because in the Academic Senate, for example, Jimmy Holmes gave a, what is it called? For open comment, pretty much, he just talked about our joint resolution and just petitioning the school to make word on their initiative of civic engagement.
Yeah, so, this might be kind of an obvious question, but do you really feel it will make a noticeable difference in student voter turnout?
Absolutely, yes. With the statistics that I stated before, I think recognizing that college students are busy, there are a good group of people on campus who are actively engaged with campaigns and elections and whatnot, but not all students are. And I think more often than not, it's going to spring upon students that it is Election Day, and they're going to be like, I want to vote, I need to vote. And so I think having it an accessible option on the day of is very important.
Have they responded or said anything about your request yet?
Not to my knowledge. I don't really think so.
The administration has stated that because there's early voting in place, that we don't really need to supplement Election Day off.
So what is your reaction to the university's response?
Oh, well, I think that's a little foolish just because, we're all, I'm a college student, so I'll be honest, a lot of us can be kind of lazy. We can be do things last second. And I think I also believe Election Day itself is beautiful. I think Americans taking the day off just to get civically engaged for once is a beautiful sight. And so I really hope we do get the day off. Because, I'm a conservative, so preferably you do vote on Election Day and not a month before.
In the past on ISU campus, there have been long voting lines. 2020 was a bit different with COVID and everything. But with this upcoming year and, lack of those restrictions, do you anticipate that the lines are going to be long?
I think so. A big initiative of actually McLean County GOP is to actually reach out to the students here. And so I think a lot more conservatives and Democrats will come out to vote, but hopefully more conservatives.
I think no matter what we do, considering that ISU holds multiple precincts, there will always be a long line, but allowing students to time off so that they don't have to go into classes will just kind of make it easier for them to vote in general, because if you have class, you don't want to have to hop out of line and then, join back in. So absolutely, there are still going to be long lines. I think the wait time was about 3 hours last time, but there's kind of no way around that, I don't think, unless we get another polling site on campus, which I think is something we can all start to advocate for.
Are you guys encouraging voters to vote early?
Absolutely. I think any opportunity that we have to allow students to vote whenever they have the chance to, I think is really important, trying to make it more accessible for students. I personally always try to vote early to avoid the long lines. And I think that just in general, having more opportunities for students will allow a higher voter turnout.
Yeah, well, I would encourage it I would encourage it just because if you're not going to vote at all or do an early vote, I'd prefer that you do an early vote.
Right. Braden, so I have a question specifically for you here.
Okay.
So in general, the Republican Party has not really gotten behind these kind of initiatives with vote efforts, particularly among younger voters, because the demographic just has really helped them as much in the past. So why did you feel it was important to hop in on this statement?
Yeah, I guess to plainly put it, I am idealistic. I think that I honestly feel like, most people here on campus will reflect leftist politics, but I think just because society has made them this way, I think we can convince a lot of folks to switch. And so I'm really happy with McLean County's GOP's effort to reach out to students more, because I really think what we believe in is true and can really change minds and hearts. And for that reason, I supported this initiative.
Got you. And so you're both not graduating and you're pretty involved in your respective political parties and groups. So what will you guys be doing over summer to prepare for the upcoming election? And then what do you plan on doing in the fall as the election draws near?
I can speak a little bit on this. I am staying in McLean County, and I'm going to be working with McLean County Democrats, kind of gearing up some of our local politicians for re-election and whatnot. But when it comes to fall, College Democrats is totally geared up and ready to be out campaigning, canvassing, as well as we are going, hopefully, to Washington, D.C. to talk about the Get Out to Vote initiative, working with a couple different organizations, learning how we can better influence students to really make sure their voice is heard on campus.
I guess for the summer, I'm going to tell conservatives here just to rest up and get ready, because we're gonna make a full effort approach. We're gonna get really good at it, and so rest up now because we're gonna be sprinting later.
When you say a full effort approach, what exactly does that mean?
So we just been reaching out to student leaders to help their members in other non-political RSOs to get civically engaged. Also, we're just we want to have an amazing ground game this year. I worked for Scott Preston the last election, and we had a pretty decent ground game. I am again working for the 91st local representative race, and our ground game, if anything, is far more ambitious than last election. And so folks really need their rest, because we are going to really get at it. Every day, every weekend.
That was Braden Gonzalez from ISU College Republicans and Delaney Reynolds with ISU College Democrats. In our next episode, we'll hear from a group of young women who are trying to find their voice in politics. Our thanks to audio producers Ryan Toohey and Ariel Jones, WGLT Digital Content Director Ryan Denham, and WGLT News Director Eric Stock. Please give us your feedback on this series, and let us know if there are certain issues you'd like us to explore. Email us at news@wglt.org. Subscribe to Democracy's Future on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, I'm Megan Spurline. Thank you for listening.